Police Commissioners. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Let the record reflect Commissioners Orden, Mack, Bernardino, Druyan, and Saltzman are present, and we have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you. First agenda item are Commissioner comments. Are there any comments? There? Yes.
Yes, I do have two. One is I was pleased to attend the department's forum last week with the LGBT community, and I was happy to be joined by Commissioner Bernardino, Commissioner Druyan, and our President, Commissioner Orden. It was, I thought, a particularly good session, quite interactive, with a presentation by Dr. Pinnell, among others, a report from the department about the progress on the transgender issues, and once again, just demonstrating the extraordinary change in the relationship between the LGBT community and the department's significant outreach with the community, and the cooperative attitude and effort. And I want to commend the department for the hard work that's gone into that. In addition, on Friday, I had the opportunity to spend a couple hours in Hollywood with a number of the officers and command staff there. I was most interested in seeing the variety of youth programs going on there. In addition, I did want to see some of the things we had heard about in their CPAB presentation recently, in particular the storage facility for the homeless, which was very interesting for me to see, very impressive, and the variety of youth programs going on there, and I know this is true in many other areas as well. It's just so impressive. The cadets program, the junior cadets program, the PALS program, and then in Hollywood they're fortunate to have a facility, I'm going to call it a drop-in center, I don't think that's the right name, but where youth can go in the afternoon and get tutoring and work on school stuff. So for me, it was time very well spent, and I commend everyone, Chief Basinger on down, who've been working on that, obviously, and of course, thank the Chief for his support for it as well. Thank you.
I want to echo Commissioner Saltzman's remarks about the LGBT forum that Commissioner Druyan and Commissioner Orden and I also participated in last week, particularly the efforts of Chief MacArthur in arranging it. It was very well done and a very enthusiastic reception. I was particularly impressed by the remarks of Captain Lindsay, who described the efforts that are made in regards to the jails to accommodate individuals. And, you know, as I've said before, I haven't done this that long, but the description that Captain Lindsay described is, I think, is some of the hardest work in the country in this regard. But I think Chief Moore probably said it best that night, and I wrote it down. What he said is, this is all about dignity, and I think the department has a real commitment to that word, dignity, in regards to not just this community, but to the community as a whole. And I was just very impressed by the turnout and very impressed by the performance. So it was a very good night. Thank you.
If there are no other comments, we'll now turn to the Chief of Police.
Good morning, Commissioners. First, I'd like to express the compassion and support of the Los Angeles Police Department for our brothers and sisters in Boston. You know, I've been in contact with Commissioner Ed Davis there. I know that they have an extremely fine police department that has not only done an incredible job of responding to this incident, but will investigate it to its conclusion, and I am absolutely confident that they will capture and prosecute the individual involved. My heart goes out to the families of the injured, and certainly to the survivors of the dead. It's a truly tragic thing. I think it underlies something that we talk about all the time here. The necessity for all of us to be involved in the safety of this community. You know, it is not just the job of the police. It is everybody's job. Suspicious activity reporting is not just a sideline It is the core of what we need to do. Our iWatch program, the ability of the public to relay information to the police department, is the only way that we can prevent incidents like this. There is just too much space to watch and too few police officers to do it. You know, it is the support of the public that will keep us safe. I'm so pleased that the commission had such great attendance at the LGBTQ forum. Unfortunately, I was in Chicago, as you know, attending a gun violence roundtable with the Chicago Police Department, New York Police Department, many of the judicial branch in Chicago, all their prosecutorial branch. It was a good discussion. You know, it talks about just how esteemed the LA model is, and how many people want to emulate it in reducing not only gun violence, but really the root of the issue, which is gang violence. Lastly, I'd like to comment, I attended Baker to Vegas Relay as a participant and a spectator this year. You know, we had a great showing, over 30 departmental teams. It is the largest law enforcement-related sporting event in the world. 270 teams of 20-plus people, plus their support staff, which usually doubles that, all took part in the 120-mile relay race from Baker to Las Vegas. The first-place team was the LAPD Elite Team, finished in 13 hours and 2 minutes. The first women's team was the LAPD Women's Team, beat the second-best competitor by over 2 hours. Really an incredible display, not only of the competitiveness and the camaraderie that goes with being part of law enforcement. We had teams from Hamburg, Germany, from Australia, from Canada, from all over the United States. It was really a tremendous event. Weather was good this year. Last year was extremely hot, and we had a number of emergency transports. This year they were very much fewer. Weather was still brutal, but it wasn't like it was last year. So a great event. Now on to my discussion of crime. Crime continues to be down across the board in the city of Los Angeles. Homicides were at a 17% reduction. Just to put that in perspective, last year at this time we had 88 homicides. This year, so far year to date, we've had 73. That's 15 fewer. We had a 33% reduction in rapes, just about a 12% reduction in robberies, almost 11.5% reduction in aggravated assaults. Total violent crime reduction from last year is 12.8%. And if you go back to 2011, 2 short years ago, it's almost a 20% reduction in violent crime. Property crime also down across the board, not quite as strong as our reductions in violent crime. It reflects our focus and our emphasis on violent crime, I think. Burglaries are down 6.2%. Vehicle thefts are down a little over 1%. Theft from vehicles down 4.1%. Personal theft, others, in other words, the petty theft category, down 10.8%. Total property crime reduction is 6.2%. Total Part 1 crime reduction, the aggregate of these two components, is 7.3%. Shootings are down in the city of Los Angeles. Incidents of shots fired down 7%. Numbers of victims shot down 7.6%. Of particular note, as compared to 2011, number of victims shot down 22.5%. All the bureaus, the 4 bureaus, geographic bureaus of the city, show crime reductions of varying degrees. Attacks on police officers are down. We've had 11 officer-involved shootings this year to date, as compared to 13 last year, a significant reduction. Gang-related crime is also down in all 11 categories. Total gang crime reduction, which I think has been our strongest evidence of success this year and in the past years, 18.8% reduction as compared to last year. And just as compared to 2011, 2 short years ago, 33%, cut by a third. Amazing progress on the gang front. Personnel statistics, we have 9,976 sworn officers on payroll. We have 19 recruits in the academy who are not yet on payroll. 269 Level 1 reserves, 21 Level 2s, 128 Level 3s, 372 specialist volunteers, 34 chaplains, 2,843 civilian personnel with 504 vacancies. And that concludes my report.
Excuse me, Madam President, we have a comment card on this item. Tud Hayes.
We have a Class 2 jail, and I was in Metropolitan Detention Center when I brought before you the fact that they did not have posted, as the state law requires, 851.5. Recently, I was given a citation by a bike officer, LAPD, to raise revenue. I didn't want to participate, so I didn't sign the citation. I was taken to 77th Street Station and examined by a doctor who informed the jailers that they either feed me or release me. Now, they did neither one of those things, and they said they would not. A blender would cost $25 petty cash. I think every station should have that, could purchase a blender and feed me. Nevertheless, they took me to Wall Street the next morning after they fed everyone except myself, because I was in an isolation cell, not among the masses where I could have borrowed, begged, or stolen some food. So when I got to Wall Street in the sheriff's custody in their holding tank, I passed out, which I normally do. And so they transported me to the hospital, and there I was fed and ultimate release. But 77th Street has no 751.5 posted. They claim they painted the jail and took the signs down, but they do have a sign that says the telephones here are monitored by the police department. If you use these phones, you agree to have your call monitored or recorded. There's a little 4x5 card in the window of that cell that tells you that these phones are not monitored. Now, what are you going to believe? The telephone, when you pick it up, it says it's monitored or recorded, or what that 4x5 card says? Well, all the jails that you have must have 851.5 posted. It seems that you refuse to provide the things that the United States Constitution requires any person who's arrested have. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chief, thank you very much for your report. The remarkable and encouraging numbers on gang violence continue, and we appreciate everything that the department is doing and everything the city is doing. It is such a combined effort with so many volunteer groups and the gang interventionists, and I think we are having a fuller report coming up soon on our agenda. And also gratitude that you did attend the conference in Chicago. It appears that it was a very demanding and excellent agenda, and hopefully the coming together will be of assistance to all people who were there. Chief, would you like to say any more now about any increased security in Los Angeles?
Well, as the Commissioner is well aware, the events in Boston highlight the need for security, not only now but always at large venues. We have a number of events coming up in which you will see more police officers and more precautionary investigatory steps than we would usually entertain. Tonight we have another Dodgers game. You'll see increased deployment there. We've got a Clippers game. You'll see increased deployment there in and around LA Live. This weekend at the University of Southern California is a book event. You will see they draw thousands of people. You will see increased deployment there. And then we have Ciclavia this weekend. You'll see increased deployment at that event also. That includes the increased deployment that you see not only at transportation routes by the Sheriff's Department and LAPD, but also at LAX by LAWA Police, Pat Gannon's troops, and augmented by Los Angeles Police Department. Anywhere people gather, you will see an increased deployment and awareness by the police department. But, and I think this is the most important message point. None of this will be effective without the help of the public. We cannot be everywhere. This is a free society that values its freedom, and part of that freedom is unrestricted access to most locations. Because of that, it's an increased awareness by the public that will keep us safe. If you see something, you have to say something. If you see something that doesn't fit, you have to tell somebody. That way we can take investigatory steps and keep you safe. That's the most important message that I have to give.
Thank you very much, Chief. Report of the Executive Director.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the Commission. A few brief items. One following up on your comment, Madam President. Scheduled for the meeting next week, April 23rd, will be a presentation from the Department related to the gang intervention program as well as the policing effort within the housing authorities.
Great.
Also, I'd like to inform the public that April 30th, there will not be a regular Commission meeting at 9:30. We'll be having a special community meeting beginning at 6:30 p.m., and it will be located at John W. Mack Elementary School, 3020 South Catalina Street. We encourage the public to attend that meeting. Be representatives from Operations South Bureau and Southwest area there to speak with the community as well as the commissioners, entertain any public comments related to issues and community policing within that area and throughout the area of the city. Last but certainly not least, when the Commission considers item 8A, I have an amended recommended action for you, which I'll address at that time. That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Madam President, we have a comment card. Ted Hayes.
I really don't know where these concerns go, so Mr. Chief, I believe you can handle it. When this building was built, they had a marvelous landscaping outside, beautiful, arboretum just about, and I watched slowly as it deteriorated. Recognizing this is a desert area, it needs water. No one watered it, the vegetation died, and guess what? We found out that it took $1 million to refurbish the lawn at City Hall after Occupy was over. How much is it going to cost to fix this lawn that died and deteriorated because no one would water it? Now it's fenced off, we're paying to rent the fence. Someone in there week by week by week recovering it, doing something. I have no idea because it's been going on for a month or more now, 2 months or more. So why are we allowing good, beautiful landscape to simply dry up, rot, and die, only replace it somehow and spend a lot of money, I would think, perhaps to do that? Whose idea was that? Who's making money on such a scheme? You know what the lawn, I mean, the building is not Frank Gehry, but the lawn was gorgeous. It was really exceptional. And now it's nothing but a wasteland. And someone had to plan that, because I thought I would get some volunteers from the community, come out with some water buckets and do something. But it never happened. And so when you, because I imagine you guys don't come through the front entrance like us regular people, so maybe you never saw this. But go look now. And please, Mr. T-Pack, ask some questions and tell us who's responsible for this deterioration. Thank you.
The report of the Inspector General.
Thank you, Madam President. I have nothing to report.
Thank you. Item number 5 are information only, filed items, noise variance permits that are listed, one which was granted and one which was denied. There is additional information in the full agenda. And noise variance permits on file for the period ending April 12, 2013. Are there any presentations?
No, Madam President.
And we have the consent agenda items. Is there a motion?
I move approval of consent agenda items A through D.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Approved. And our regular agenda is 8A, the department's report relative to the memorandum of agreement between the Los Angeles World Airports and Los Angeles Police Department is set forward, and would like to hear from the department.
Good morning, Madam Chairman.
Good morning. You might want to bring that microphone a little closer.
You got it? Good. Good morning. It's my recommendation that the Police Commission approve the LAWA Memorandum of Agreement between LAPD and LAWA. And this agreement was a revision from 2006 between LAWA and the LAPD. It covers coordination and collaboration between LAPD and LAWA, LAX, and Van Nuys airports. It also talks about reimbursement for services that the LAPD provides to LAWA for protection and enforcement on LAWA properties. It also talks about increased staffing levels in the event of a terrorist threat assessment at the LAWA properties as well. It also delineates ICS and NIMS protocols in the event of an incident occurring on LAWA properties between LAPD and LAX. It also talks about investigations for certain types of crimes occurring on LAWA properties, and who will have investigative responsibility for certain crimes. And it also discusses notifications between LAWA and LAPD to protect the best interests of the city. It also covers labor demonstrations, training, and which is something that is unique from the 2006 MOA, where we are now training LAWA police officers, so we have consistent standards and training between LAPD and LAX police officers. And it also talks about force investigation divisions, investigations of OASs between LAWA officers.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
Commissioner Druyan?
A couple of years ago, I served on the mayor's panel that looked at the security issues at LAX. And I can say I looked at the memorandum of understanding at that time, and this is a far improvement. This is,
Thank you,
with
sir.
the exception of two typos that I found, which I will point out to you, one additional word and one missing word. This really covers all of the areas that were of concern to the panel with respect to the coordination and communication between LAPD and LAWA PD. This is a very, very comprehensive report that I think clearly delineates the differing responsibilities and will enhance the communication and cooperation between the two agencies, which was really, I think, a problem we identified a couple of years ago, in part based upon the Memorandum of Understanding and the uncertainty that existed as a result of the 2006 understanding. So this is really a great improvement, and it does, I think, cover everything. As I said, there are two typos in here that make a couple sentences confusing that I can point out. But with that exception, I strongly support this new Memorandum of Agreement.
Thank you.
And you had a comment?
Yes, Madam President, to correct the agenda. The action should be to approve the department's report and authorize the president of the commission and chief of police to execute the memorandum of understanding.
Right. And with that change in the recommendation, I will ask for a motion.
Well, subject to correcting the two typos that I found, which I will point out to you after the meeting, I would move approval of the Memorandum of Agreement and signed by the President of the Commission.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is approved, and I thank you very much, Captain Zach.
Wait around for a couple of minutes. Captain Zach, wait around. Thanks.
It is now time for public comment.
Annie Hall, Daniel Jones, followed by Ted Hayes.
Good morning, everyone. I will continue with evidence. A quitclaim deed the criminals downloaded from a computer. The police report stated that the officers had no evidence at the time that I was arrested. I sat on my porch for over 2 hours in my pajamas while the officers and the criminals plotted how to arrest me. I gave the officers a copy of my title report. Officer Diaz said the criminals were making a private citizen arrest. The officers left private citizen arrest and the name of the criminals off of the police report. When I discovered it was omitted, the officers had to rewrite their report. Officer AC and Officer Diaz transported me to 77th Police Division. The officers told me because they had to rewrite the police report, they would send my title report to property downtown and list my address as a transient. That the judge would never see that I had a $200,000 mortgage on my home and that I will not be released. So to bring this matter to a conclusion, I would like to meet with the Inspector General this week, and I would like to continue to give an update on our progress weekly. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a great week.
It is now time for closed
No,
session.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Good morning. My name is Dan Jones. I'd like to give my condolences to people in Boston. It really is truly a sad story out there. And I heard the word dignity and respect from the chief and the rest of the panel. And I do come in here to hear good news. I do come in here to hear everything. And it is a positive sign. I do appreciate that. I'm just... I don't object to any tactics or any policies or protocols that the Los Angeles Police Department does or our government does. We would just like a clear, honest, year-end report, and not of tactics of who, what, where, and when, but some kind of grasp from the Inspector General's office as to where we are in this society as far as a war on terror. It's not my intention to give up any advantage to them at all, but we need to trust what we hear from the Inspector General, and to sit there and tell us that you put periods at the end of every sentence and you put the report in a shoebox somewhere. But that's fine if that's all you're supposed to report on as procedure, but that didn't tell us anything. We don't want to know how you get, how you stop crime. We just want to know what you're doing with it. And in order to get past, there's a lot of disgruntled citizens and people out there in society, and they would like to hear something from the only contact point we have is you, really. And hopefully we can get forward. I hear and I see and I feel things changing, and that's a positive. And I'm here to hopefully keep that going. Thank you very much, and have a good day.
Thank you.
Ted Hayes.
Let me try to give you a fragmented opinion as to what H51.5 means. It's a due process. And I've never said this before publicly to people like yourselves, but what that means is everyone who went through our detention center, everyone who's gone through 77th Street, were denied their due process rights under the U.S. Constitution. Now, ACLU or some defense attorneys might recognize their clients who are offended in that manner or denied in that manner, and might want to do something about that. The consequences are very grave. Guilty people will be whatever. Now, because of my agitation with the police department, I am put on a hit list to be killed. The first time I was at Metropolitan Detention Center, the nurse from the hospital called the LAPD, talked to a top presiding officer and explained to them that either you feed your inmates or release them. So Metro knew about it. So when I got to 77th Street, keeping accurate records on the people you hold, like myself, very extensive record. I think I've been arrested about 55 times in my lifetime in L.A. They knew that if they didn't feed me, I would also collapse. And so people who want to see me survive just a little bit longer are concerned about the fact there's an attempt on the part of the police not to touch me, not to beat me, not to harm me, but just deny me food. Benign neglect, is that what they call that? And so that's something I want to look into. And there's no record of my ever being in custody at 77th Street, no record of my ever being in custody at Wall Street, no record of my ever being examined by a doctor. Record's completely purged.
Thank you. And now it is time to adjourn to closed session for the items listed in the agenda.
The Board of Police Commissioners will now recess into closed session to discuss items number 10A and B in accordance with Government Code 54957.
Session item 10A1 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. Item 10A2 was discussed and the Chief's recommendations were unanimously adopted. And item 10B was discussed. Madam President, is there a motion for adjournment?
Move we adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Don't worry, Patty. This isn't going to hurt me one bit. Hi, I'm Dr. Eric Shapiro in beautiful Encino, and you're watching LA City View, Channel 35. Our city, our channel. Open wide.
When duty calls, the LAPD responds.
Let's be careful out there.
Working as a team to protect and to serve.
Whoever's got a gun, leave us alone!